We are 1 month away from the big Dragon Ball Genki Daimatsuri event happening in January of 2026, and there is confirmed to be a major game reveal at this event. So let's go over all the thoughts and ideas, speculations, hopes, and wishes for what we could be seeing here. The next Dragon Ball game to be revealed in 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, let's finally talk about this. I'm pretty excited to discuss and do kind of a community response and just a speculation video. I haven't really done one of these in a while, and I wanted to see what you guys thought would be a good idea for this 2026 Dragon Ball game. There is a confirmation that we will be getting a huge reveal in 2026. Actually, 1 month from like today, basically. So we're about to enter a big, massive, beautiful time for Dragon Ball fans. Okay, not only with video games, potential anime reveals, etc., etc. We've talked about that several times, but I wanted to go over what type of games we could potentially be seeing, at this event. There's only one major game that's going to be shown, and I do think it's going to be a big, major game. I do not think this is going to be some type of spin-off. We recently just got a spin-off. Usually they like to, go back and forth and alternate between them. As you guys are aware, Gekishin Squadra was that spin-off game that's still ongoing right now. It was released and has been ongoing now for like, 3-4 months now. Yeah, I'm ruling out that it's going to be some type of like, experimental type of game that, would focus more on multiplayer and stuff. I think this is going to be something that is obviously, it could have online and multiplayer with it, but this is going to be some type of like fighting RPG or action adventure type of game, right? A Xenoverse, a FighterZ, a Kakarot, one of those, like the big heavy hitters, a Sparking Zero, for example, right? So there are a few options that I'm going to be going over, but we'll also go on my Twitter and on my YouTube community response pages so that we can see what people are thinking or want to see for this. So obviously the big major number one choice for what people do want to see and what I want to see, everybody and their mom wants, and we've been wanting for over a decade now, is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, right? This is the game that would save anime games. I'm being serious. Like, this isn't even a joke. This game would feed us for another 10 to 20 years. I'm not, like, that's not an over-exaggeration. The amount of content and fresh new stuff that they can add for this game that they still haven't done in Xenoverse 2 yet is ridiculous. It's beyond belief. Like, even some of the stuff that you think they could add, there's even more stuff and layers on top of it that you haven't even thought of yet, right? There's so many things that they could do and get creative with that they're just not doing. And the reason why I do not think this is going to be that 2026 game reveal specifically at Genki Daimatsuri is because Xenoverse 2 is still getting updates and content, right? We are confirmed to be, still be getting one more DLC for the final chapter of Future Saga, Chapter 4, right? I don't know what that's going to have. We'll talk about that probably in a different video. I have no idea when exactly that's going to be releasing. There was an estimated date of it like being from like July to September of 2026 or some shit, but that can always change. That's not a set in stone thing. That's just kind of like a placeholder, for example, right? But we know it's coming next year, right? And we just got Future Saga Chapter 3, a couple of months ago, so, everything is still pretty fresh for that in terms of Chapter 3, so we're not seeing Chapter 4, any reveals or anything for Chapter 4 anytime soon, so yeah, I'm rolling out Xenoverse 3. It's not 100% out of the question. They could, reveal that as the game, but I'm like 99.9999% sure it's not. That's not going to be it. And I think a lot of you guys can agree with it. I know a lot of people want this game and would hope for it to be that big game, but it's not. Okay, it's just not happening right now. It's way too soon, and I say too soon because, again, Xenoverse 2 is still alive. As much as people don't want to believe it, it's still living, it's still getting content, it's still getting support. So we're gonna roll that one out, right? Now let's talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ, okay? A FighterZ 2, a sequel to FighterZ. I think there was a leak long time ago, which was fake. They called it Dragon Ball Super FighterZ, which I think is a kind of a cool name too, right? Or Super Dragon Ball FighterZ, for example. Like, they could get creative with it. And all these are just concept arts and everything that I made. Shout outs to Bruno Art. I'll link him down below. He made this. I commissioned this from him many years ago, and he did an amazing job, right? But this one is kind of something I put together just, for the sake of having a visual. I know this logo is hilarious and so fucking ass. Just off topic, because all I did for the 2 was I just got the Z and I took the line out the middle and I slapped it on there. I said, that's Dragon Ball FighterZ 2. So yeah, I digress. Every time I look at this logo, I laugh because it's just so ass. But yeah, I don't think we're getting a Fighter sequel either. Again, we are confirmed to be getting DLC in 2026, confirmed with the Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku, which they're just randomly deciding to come back with this game, right? And let's be real, okay? I personally believe he will not be the only character. I feel like there's going to be more. We have Beast Gohan, Orange Piccolo, the Gammas, you know, so many characters, so many new things that have come out for Dragon Ball in the past, you know, few years that fighters never got to, you know, adapting or, you know, getting their own version of it, right? Every other game has these characters, right? So I think it would be stupid of them to want to hype this game back up, drop the Daima Super Saiyan 4, and then just dip and say, fuck y'all. Like, that would be so ass, right? That would be stupid. But there's a chance that they could do that, right? Arc System Works, who, you know, is working on Fighters right now, is also working on a big new fighting game, which is the Marvel Tokon Souls, or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't even know. Yeah, so it's not happening. I don't think that we're getting a Fighters 2. Maybe years from now, we could see another sequel to this game or another game like this, but I'm ruling out Fighters 2 as well, just because, again, there's still content coming, right? Sparking Zero 2, we're going to bring this one up. Again, it's not always out of the question. I think a Sparking sequel will eventually happen in the future. But again, Sparking Zero is confirmed to be getting DLC in 2026 and maybe even beyond that. So we're likely not going to be seeing a sequel this soon, right? It's not like back in the day with the Tenkaichi series where they dropped the sequel to the game every single year up until the 3rd game and then they kind of, you know, just stopped, right? That is not the case anymore because DLC exists, right? A lot of the times with those sequels, they were kind of like DLC plus free updates for the game in a sense, right? Free updates being like patches, changes to characters, gameplay mechanic changes, and then actual character additions are just basically DLC now, right? That's what they do for not just fighting games or Dragon Ball games or anime games, but all the games, right? Look at Pokemon, right? Remember they used to drop a 3rd game for Pokemon, and it was like a better, basically the ideal version of, you know, that generation, right? Like you had a Diamond and Pearl and then you had a Platinum, or a Ruby and Sapphire and then an Emerald, right? They don't do that shit anymore. They just drop DLC for the game and just say, all right, enjoy, right? Give us another $40, $50 for this shit. So they are getting more money from us in a sense if you really do think about it, okay? But yeah, we ain't getting no Sparking Zero 2 anytime soon. You know, maybe another Sparking sequel later down the line. I do think that there will be gameplay updates, changes, and mechanics, and new shit to come for the Sparking series, hopefully, other than just characters. Because if it's just characters, that's going to suck, okay? So we're rolling out Sparking Zero 2 as well. Now, you just saw it from the preview, Budokai 4. Now, this game, in my opinion, and I say Budokai 4, not Infinite World, because I know people will be like, well, Infinite World was Budokai 4. I'm just saying Budokai 4 as in the direct sequel to Budokai, other than, you know, Burst Limit and Infinite World, okay? And they could do Burst Limit too, just one of these type of games, okay? This is not Dragon Ball FighterZ, and this is not Sparking Zero, and this is not Xenoverse, okay? This is a game that was its own kind of thing. This was our first kind of like big, major, actual ideal Dragon Ball game, okay? The Budokai series was that game that a lot of people would, you know, say was one of their top favorites, right? And this was kind of like what we had in the West as like an ideal fighting game for you know, Dragon Ball. Okay, this is kind of like your Street Fighter, your Tekken, your Mortal Kombat type of not necessarily 2D fighting, but like a 2.5D arena fighter that, you know, I mean, you don't fly, you know, you're on ground the whole time, right? But it was like more like a classic kind of almost like an arcade traditional fighting game in a sense, right? Not really, but it was 3D. So this was kind of its own thing. It was much simpler than, you know, Tenkaichi and even Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like, this is a game that anybody can pick up and be actually pretty good at and, you know, have fun with, right? And this is why I want to see this series come back in some capacity in this type of genre, just because it was so simple and easy to digest. Like, you just picked it up, you could play. There wasn't a huge learning curve, right? I think anybody could. I mean, obviously people can make it competitive and make it super fucking complex with tech and stuff, but I think for the most part, compared to like Sparking or Fighters, you know, there's a huge gap between, like, level gap between people. Like a 10-year-old that picked up the game for the first time, or even had, like, you know, a few weeks of training with it, was not beating somebody who was a veteran, right, in the Tenkaichi series. Like, it's just not happening, right? Even if they use Ultra Instinct Goku, right? Even if that was the case, it's very hard to beat somebody who actually knows what the fuck they're doing, right? But in this game, it's a little bit easier. I think anybody could kind of beat anybody in a sense, right? For the most part. Not 100%, but that's why I like this game a lot. It usually had a really good story mode. Single-player campaign stuff was great. You know, there was tournament modes. There were, you know, there were things about it that I feel like would kind of be like a better replacement for Sparking for some people who like more single-player content. Obviously, the gameplay wouldn't be the same or as, you know, complex and crazy, right? But it would still be a fun experience that I think people would enjoy. Obviously, there would probably be DLC for this game too, right? Every Dragon Ball game gets DLC, but I think this one would be picked up by a lot more people and retain players more, in my opinion, okay? Because there would be obviously an online mode for it. And I just think this game in the modern day, I don't know, maybe that's just me. I just feel like it would work a little bit better than Sparking Zero. Sparking Zero can work. They just kind of fumbled. Like, they just kind of didn't do the best with its launch, right? There were things about it that I don't need to get into that you guys know was an issue. So, yeah, I think a Budokai 4/Burst Limit 2 or Dragon Ball, whatever the fuck, 2.5D arena fighter type of thing would work. And I know people will be like, why are you bringing up arena fighters? Why is it always a fighting game? It's like, guys, let's be real. Let's be so for real. Majority of people are interested in terms of a shonen action fighter. People want some type of fighting game for it, okay? That's why they keep making them. They keep making them because people want them. They request them, okay? And I know there are other genres it could tackle, right? There's action RPG, there's, you know, open world, fucking, I don't even know, dude, MMO and all that stuff. Like, we have a genre for every single, you know, I mean, we have a Dragon Ball game for every single genre, right? I just think that a fighting game, and it doesn't have to be specifically like this, right? It just works the best, and it's enjoyed by a lot of people. And with all the new modern stuff that has come out, I think it would be cool if we could see this series come back, right? But it's not necessary. I'm not saying that, like obviously I would prefer some type of crazy, massive, like Xenoverse type of game, right? Over anything. That's what I want more than anything, because that is something different in a sense, right? I mean, obviously, like I said, we have Xenoverse 2, but expand on it, make it bigger. People are going to be like, oh, I want an open world. Like, people want stuff like, what is it? Expedition 33, or I don't even know what games are out right now that are like massive and everything. And it's like, I'm not saying we can't get a game like that, but like those type of games, man, that's a lot. It's a lot of work. There's a lot that they're putting into it. And I just feel like with Bandai and how they do shit, they seem to not be opting for that. Even with Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, that is not like a true open world experience type of game, or, you know, it's an action RPG. Like, the thing that Kakarot lacks, in my opinion, is it's mainly the gameplay. The gameplay is not all that exciting, okay? I think the cutscenes are beautiful. I like the not open, but like the, you know, kind of a little bit of a, you know, RPG aspect for it, where you can like explore and stuff and, you know, run around and stuff. Like, that's cool. I like that too. But even that game wasn't the true, you know, open world experience that I guess people are looking for. But yeah, anime games, they usually gravitate towards it being some type of fighting game or some type of RPG type of game, right? A lot of them do that, and it's just a formula that just works well for a lot of these games. Not every single anime game, you know, in existence is, but I'm just saying a lot of the action-oriented games or series, right? Like Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, even Bleach, for example, like those big ones. That's why they usually go for that. So, I don't know. I just think that a Budokai 4 type of game would just be a good change, something a little bit different. It's not necessarily, like I said, Xenoverse or Tenkaichi or even Fighters, but it's still a fighting game, and it has something, it has some merit to it that people already love that they could do well. I don't know. We'll see. So let's go over some responses, because I asked you guys on Twitter and on YouTube, what do you think would be, like, what type of game do you want to see or is being planned, okay? So I think I went over this a while back. Shout out to Nano. He said, a Devil May Cry style Trunks game that explores his full arcs plus some. That would be really fucking cool, man. I would love that. It's definitely something different. Okay, it focuses on a story that is a little bit grittier and darker. So I feel like that would just be an interesting thing. It obviously would not be a game that would hit with all Dragon Ball fans, but it would be something to kind of change up the scene for what we have, okay? Because like I said, we already have a fighting game, we already have an arena fighter, we already have a MOBA, and like we have so many different genres ongoing right now that are still getting support that it's not necessary for them to do a Budokai 4, like I said, but I'm just saying, like, them bringing that series back, it would be hype. People would love it, right? Goresh says, it'll never happen probably, but some kind of ultimate legacy of Goku game that goes from OG to the end of Super. And that's another big thing that I feel like we haven't had is Super. Where is the Super content? I'm talking story, full-on Dragon Ball Super arcs, like the entire story of Dragon Ball Super. No game has touched upon everything yet. Xenoverse and I think Sparking Zero, and if you want to count, not even Kakarot. Kakarot did the first two movies, and that was kind of it, right? Xenoverse does little bits and pieces in their story to integrate it, but not fully, right? And then Sparking Zero was just kind of all over the place too. It wasn't, Sparking Zero just wasn't the ideal Dragon Ball Super story. Again, there were elements in it, and that's the closest that we'll get, but I feel like they could make a meaty Dragon Ball story that focuses on Super's, full arcs. I'm talking from the Beerus saga all the way up until Super Hero, right? And that just doesn't exist yet. And how old is Dragon Ball Super? That shit 10 years old, man. Like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? How come they have not done it yet? That should have been done like 10 years ago, honestly. No, not really. But like, at least by the end of like 2018, they should have had a game at that point that had a heavy focus on that story. They just didn't do it. Yeah, FighterZ 2, it's not happening. Sparking 1, yeah, no sequel on Sparking. Here it is, Dragon Ball Super focus game for once. Can I just get a game that focuses on the Dragon Ball Super arc only? I mean, it doesn't have to just be Dragon Ball Super. It could be everything, but obviously that's going to be more work. So yeah, I do think a Dragon Ball Super only game would be pretty damn cool. I feel like we have enough. I think we got enough material for it as long as they go into full detail. I'm talking Beerus, God of Destruction Saga. We have Resurrection F. Then we go to the Universe 6 versus 7. Then we have Future Trunks arc. And then we have Universe Survival Saga. And then we also can go into the movies because those are, in a sense, part of the main story. I don't want to say canon, but I'm just saying part of the main story. So you add in Broly, you add in Superhero. It's all there, right? Kakarot's already doing Daima shit. So like we don't need to have a full Daima story because Kakarot is pretty much the game that did it. So I don't know, man. I'm just saying. Wouldn't that sound pretty cool? Like that or like a Budokai 4 are ideal. Dokkan 2. Yeah, we don't need that. Breakers 2. Yes, my boy Iron Kane. He will push for Breakers 2. Shout out to my boy Grandmaster Hark. FighterZ 2 would be amazing. Sparking Zero 2 seems very plausible. Budokai 4 would be sick. Xenoverse 3, I just doubt that's happening at this point given all the support. Yeah. Budokai 4, yeah, Robbie wants it. Barry says no Kakarot 2. I think you guys are under kind of getting hints of what I think might also be a good game that I didn't list on here, right? And it's just from what I'm saying, okay? And the reason for that being, and I'm just going to say it right now, I'm going to save that for a separate video. I think you know what I'm talking about, okay? An OG Dragon Ball game where it's like Kakarot, but the entire game is based on, before Z, and you could have a cross-world. where you go to control Goku on Earth, Vegeta. As cool as that would be, and I would love that, an OG Dragon Ball game. An OG Dragon Ball game. I'm sorry. I do not think we're ever going to get another one. I just don't think it's happening. There are some great OG Dragon Ball games that are focused on the original series, but people, they do not fuck with OG Dragon Ball. I'm sorry. Like, not the series in terms of like the anime and the manga and all that stuff. Obviously, it's great. You need to start there. We get it, right? Everybody loves it. Not everybody, but you know what I mean? Like, that's where it all started. And it is a great series. Okay. But the problem is people are not buying. It's not selling, right? It's not going to sell. There's a reason why the video games are not adapting like anything for OG Dragon Ball. Kakarot got one OG Dragon Ball thing, and while it was amazing and very good, and I think it did actually sell pretty well, okay? I could be wrong. I don't know what the sales on it were. It's not hitting as something that they could sell as a standalone game. I'm sure people would buy it, but they want to push Z and Super. Z and Super are what is really what's going to sell. Okay, they ain't going to make a Daima game. They ain't going to make a Dragon Ball Z, or sorry, a GT game. They're not doing any of that. Do you see any of that? What are all the Dragon Ball games? They're either Z or Super related in a sense, right? Or at least focus on those. Dragon Ball GT Final Bout 2 exclusively for PlayStation 2. Let's fucking go. Xenoverse 3 needs to happen. Yeah. Xenoverse 3 with Sparking Zero type of combat. Yeah, man, like, they need to really upgrade this shit, right? I'm expecting Budokai 4 because of the recent hype it's had and a long wait. Yeah, that would be sick. Dragon Ball Fusions 2, would love it, but I just feel like they're not coming back to that game anytime soon, especially since the devs are working on Gekishin Squadron, right? So let's see some responses on, this is more recent on my YouTube. A Budokai revival like Sparking Zero, Sparking Zero 2. Since we finally got BT4 in the form of Sparking Zero, maybe the opportunity to do... Okay, I don't know why people are asking for Raging Blast. I understand that people think that Raging Blast is a little bit different, and it's like a different series, but it's always been part of the Tenkaichi series. It's the same developers. It's got not the same exact gameplay, but it's got similar gameplay mechanics. It's too similar to Tenkaichi and the Sparking series that Sparking Zero even has stuff, kind of things from Raging Blast in a sense. So I don't see them doing a Raging Blast 3. It would just be kind of weird, right? I think the Sparking series is that fusion of, you know, Tenkaichi and then Raging Blast combined together, right? I'm not saying that like I'm not trying to be like, oh, well, like, you guys are wrong. That's not what it is. I'm just saying, like, it would be like, that don't make no sense, right? Because Sparking is kind of that game. As much as people don't like, you know, there's some people that don't like it and would rather have a direct Raging Blast 3. If they made a Raging Blast 3, it would just be Sparking Zero in a sense, right? It would pretty much be the same thing. It's the Raging Blast and Tenkaichi it's the same developer, same exact developer, Spike, right? Or Spike Chunsoft. But yeah, even Budokai 4, fuck it, Burst Limit 2, yeah, something like that. A new installment to the Budokai series, 2D anime style beat 'em up. Another cool one would be just like kind of like, you know, how Pirate Warriors, like a Dynasty Warriors, like a, and I know Kakarot kind of has something like that, but it's not exactly the same, like the Horde battles. I'm talking like an actual, like, call it Dragon Ball Warriors or some shit. I don't know, because they always have to put warriors, like Hyrule Warriors, for example. Like that action, like Horde beat 'em up type of game is cool. It's a cool genre, and I feel like it's a little bit different for Dragon Ball, and they could do it really well. Because how many times in the series have we seen, you know, Goku and friends fight a horde of, you know, enemies, right? It would be really fucking cool. And then you obviously have a boss fight at the very end. It could be some like big boss fight. Like maybe that would be a perfect time to introduce like a lot of the giant characters to fight. Like imagine you go through and you fight like a horde of Metal Cooler, I guess, clones, and then at the very end you get to fight the big Getty Star or whatever the fuck it's called, giant fucking head version. Or I mean, there was a giant Metal Cooler, right, who was the kind of like the core, right? I think they call him Metal Cooler Core, so something like that. I guess it would be kind of similar to Battle of Z, right? But Battle of Z was so fucking ass. Like the gameplay was atrocious. So basically battle the Z with the horde mechanics and actually make it better. Because they had the giant battles, which I liked a lot. That was cool. But the gameplay was just so bad. And had that horrible ghosting effect too. Oh god, it was so bad. Budokai Tenkaichi Legacy Collection. As much as I would love that, we don't need it right now. I mean, like, there's constantly remastering like the same stuff. I would buy it. Don't get me wrong, I would buy it. But like what they should have done for Sparking Zero is in between. Sparking Zero should have dropped like a year or two, like after its actual release, and then in between they should have had a Tenkaichi 1, 2, and 3 / type of collection that was HD remastered. Should have done that because they did it for Budokai 1 and 3. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, people for the most part are kind of on the same. Oh, look at that, Dragon Ball Warriors. Yeah, we're all on the same page. I think a Budokai 4 type of game would be pretty ideal. Okay. And again, it doesn't need to be that. It can be something, a lot more expansive, like a Xenoverse 3. I would love that, but I just don't see Xenoverse 3 happening right now. Or it could be, and this is, like I said, we'll segue into it in the next, speculation video, a sequel to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That is right. That is right. I'm being serious. And it focuses on the super story because they still haven't done that yet. Okay? The first 2 movies are DLC, but that's nothing compared to what the full story of Super could be that they just haven't done yet. But yeah, y'all let me know your thoughts and opinions, what you want to see. Drop a like, subscribe here on the channel, ring my notification bell. Peace out.
This is Broly, and you are watching SLOplays. Make sure to subscribe, or else I'll destroy your entire planet.